Without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker. She's an accountant. She knows everything there is to know about how to manage your finances during this time that we're all locked down. So Krystle, unmute yourself. I'd like you to take over from here and just teach us what we need to know, because I need to kind of sew up the hole in my bank account. It just seems to be hemorrhaging money right now, especially now. It seems now during the lockdown, when the banks know nobody has money, they've just like introduced some direct debits from nowhere. I didn't even know these things actually came out. So help us, please, Krystle.
Yes, they're smart. Hello, everyone. Krystle McGilvery here. As OC said, yes, I'm a chartered management accountant and a personal finance educator. I do all things personal finance, and I have done for the last 4 years. So I'm going to dive in. I've got a little presentation for you guys, so let's jump on it. All right, so taking control of your personal finances, let's go. All right, as I said, so I do everything personal finance. So this is financial literacy. I work with individuals and organizations, helping them understand their finances and make better decisions. I offer online resources and face-to-face meetings. Okay, given this time, I thought it made sense to give you guys a brief overview as to what is available to you, given the coding that's happening right now. We'll start with the self-employed. So as you can see, I'm not going to go through everything in detail, but I'm sure you are entitled, if you are self-employed, to 80% of your average profit for the last 3 years. This is trading profit only. So if you have different forms of income, do pay attention. And as you can see, it's paid in June. Also, there's universal credit you're entitled to, and your payment on account that may have been due in July can be deferred until January next year. For employees, your statutory sick pay is actually payable from day one. There are some details in that, so of course check and talk to your employer. You are also, as with the self-employed, entitled to 80% of your pay. This is for furloughed staff though, those who are not working because of the current situation. A couple of bits that I could cover as well. Your mortgage payments, some banks, or all banks should be, but it depends on the type of mortgage you have, the type of borrowing you have, but you can have a repayment holiday for up to 3 months. But I'm saying this with caution. Please note that interest is still being accrued on these 3 months that you're not paying the amount. And after those 3 months, you will be required to pay those 3 months or make an arrangement with your lender as to how you're going to repay it, whether it's to increase your payments or to add that to the end of your term. So again, just talk to your lender and make sure you guys come to some good arrangement. As with credit cards, again, another type of borrowing, there are lots of things happening with these lenders, whether it's waiving fees or allowing you to withdraw money at a cash point free of charge, extending limits, etc. Same with overdrafts. Some limits have been extended. You can see you have an extension on your MOT. So kind of to match the mortgage repayment holiday, there's also a 3-month eviction holiday. So landlords can't evict you for 3 months, which makes sense to tie those together. And then finally here, we've got something about fixed rate savings. If you have money in a fixed rate savings account that you would normally be charged for withdrawing cash from, again, talk to your bank. I'm sure not all banks are doing it, but they're waiving fees for you to withdraw emergency cash. Okay, that's a quick update on COVID-19. Let's jump into what we plan to originally talk about. So, as OC introduced, this webinar is about whether starting a business, changing careers, or as I've added in here, managing through turbulent times. So I'm going to give you a quick overview for some things that you should pay attention to when it comes to your personal finances. You may have started some of this already, or maybe you haven't at all, but everybody should work to have these things in place and manage them on a regular basis. So before we start that, we're going to talk very briefly about maths and finance. For lots of people, the thought of maths or finance brings about lots of negative feelings, negative emotions for a range of reasons, whether you had bad experiences at school with regard to maths, or whether you've had bad experiences as an adult in terms of your finance. you could have you have a partner who's not very good at finance, and discussing those things brings about stress. There's a bunch of reasons, but what has been found is there is a direct link between your mindset and your financial state. So you can see here we're talking about growth mindset. So growth mindset is the acceptance and understanding that intelligence can be developed. So if you don't know something now, you have the belief that you can learn it and you can become good at it. So the same can be applied to maths and finance, and the same should be applied to maths and finance, as with any other area of your life. You might not know it now, but you need to believe that you can, and having that growth mindset is the starting point to do better when it comes to your personal finances. So a quick look at how to develop a growth mindset. You want to understand your why. So why do you want to be better at maths? Or why do you want to be better at finance? Is it because you're trying to start a business? Do you want to prepare for your future? Is it for your family? Understand that. Then you need to visualize and be very clear about where you want to go, what you want your life to look like. And finally, be realistic with that. Think about the time you have, think about the resources you have, so your plan that you set makes sense and is actually achievable. So of course this, as we said earlier, brings about fear sometimes. And the first thing to do is understand that fear and embrace it. We fear what we don't know. So if you head it straight on and totally embrace it, it makes the fear smaller than you. You become bigger than the fear. Then you want to have a positive attitude. So this links back to the growth mindset. Again, believing that you can overcome this fear, you can do better. And finally, do it anyway. Everyone's heard the phrase, feel the fear and do it anyway. Learn what you need to learn, get that help. Don't shy away from your fears. Go and be bold and get the education you need to overcome those fears. Okay, so now we're talking about taking action. So these are the core steps that everybody needs to do. I'm going to run through your financial position, a cash flow forecast, and an emergency fund. Okay, your financial position. So often called net assets, total net worth. You want to consider all of your assets and liabilities. So assets are things that you own, liabilities are things that you owe. You want to understand what your current value is. So this is the difference between your assets and your liabilities. So assets, for example, your cash balance, or if you own your property or investments that you have, your liabilities, whether it's, a loan or credit card debt, you want to subtract one from the other and get your value. And then identify where and how you can improve this. Then you need to look at your cash flow forecast and look at it regularly, every week, every month, more often if necessary, depending on your situation. You need to identify your income and your expenditure, set goals and plan realistically. So we're talking about a forecast here. So it's not just taking a snapshot of your income and expenses right now. You need to plan for the future, plan for 12 months minimum, I'd say, and understanding the fluctuations that will incur in your income, the fluctuations in your expenditure. You need an annual car service or an annual MOT, or Christmas, or you've got children and you spend quite a lot on birthdays. Plan that in your forecast so you know exactly when money is coming in and out. And of course, again, relating to the current times, you need to create a survival plan. So this is where you scale back on the luxury items and have a bare minimum skeleton, really basic cash flow forecast where your expenses are ridiculously low, that you can go back to that basic template as and when you need. And like I said, we mentioned the emergency fund. So this is preparing for unplanned circumstances like the current situation. You need to have ideally 6 months worth of expenses saved up in a separate account. So if that's not clear, think about your monthly expenses. That total amount times 6, you need to work towards having that in the bank account. And I'm sure for a lot of people, this is a lot of money. Start where you are. If you can only save up for 1 month right now, do that. The point is to start somewhere and build that habit and grow that habit and maintain that habit so you can get to a point where you have that money available for times like now. And of course, when you use it, replace it as soon as possible. That's me.
Thank you so much, Krystle, for what you've shared. Can you leave that slide up for a second, please, just so that people can see your contact links and how to connect with you online? And what I would like to say is, yeah, there you go. So you've got Krystle at moneymonday.co.uk is the email address. Then we have the website, moneymonday.co.uk, and then on LinkedIn at Krystle McGilvery. So thank you so much for sharing that. I know that where I am now, I'm able to keep up with some of the vocab, right? So I know that there are some people who, where I was a short while ago, and some of these financial terms, they kind of make your head spin, you know. But I think it would be good if people are in that position, just like we were encouraged before, really just humble yourself and ask the question. There are people in the chat saying, thank you, Krystle, for sharing that. I think this really is vital information, especially people getting on top of what is actually an asset and what is a liability, because I think we're kind of all in the habit of just spending our money on liabilities, you know, and hemorrhaging our accounts. So thanks so much for that, Krystle. We are going to get back to you during the question and answer session. We're going to get through the other speakers first, but thank you so much for that contribution. I would like to now introduce to you Mr. Robert Sadler.